capacity, the good news is it's not that hard once you understand it, but most people don't understand it because it's well, not really sure. I guess it's because the lessons aren't particularly interesting, really. That's probably what it really is. But so we'll start off by just talking about what heat capacity is, as opposed to specific heat capacity. So heat capacity, let's type it. So heat capacity So the heat capacity is the amount of energy needed to heat something up by 1 degree Celsius. So if I had, let's say, a beaker of water, and currently the temperature is, so we can say, let's say that the starting temperature, so I'll call that T1. T1 is equal to maybe 10 degrees C, right? Now I want to get it up to 11 degrees C, okay? So let's copy that picture. So the energy needed to heat it up to go from 10 to 11 is the heat capacity, okay? So let's say it's the heat capacity for this particular thing, whatever it is, a beaker of water, let's say, right? So let's get that down for this example. It's not just the heating up of 1 degree, it's how much energy it takes to heat it up by 1 degree. Okay, so it's it is the energy required to heat it up by 1 degree. Okay, 1 degree Celsius. That's what the heat capacity is. The reason why it's called capacity, I mean, you think about what does capacity normally means. It means how much something can hold. So it can also be thought of as the energy held within 1 degree of this substance. So in other words, if I gave it another degree, how much energy is held inside that 1 degree? Well, it's whatever energy you've given it. So if it drops a degree, it's going to release that energy. If it drops 2 degrees, it's going to release twice that energy. Okay. So let's do another example, this time with the calculation. We'll say that we'll take this example we've got here again, and we'll say that, and let's change the color of it as well. Let's change it to green. And we're going to say that, we're going to say that we're going to heat it up not to 12 to 11 degrees. Let's heat it up to 15 degrees. Let's use the right color. I'm going to heat it up to 15 degrees, and the change in energy that I gave it, the energy that I needed to give it to do that was 400 joules. So what is the heat capacity if that's the case? Think about what heat capacity means, and see if you can work out what the heat capacity would be in this case. So we can say that the change in temperature is 5 degrees, right? The change in energy was 400 degrees. The change in temperature was 5 degrees. The heat capacity is the amount of energy to increase by 1 degree. So what would it be to increase it by 1 degree? If it took 400 joules to heat it up by 5 degrees, how much energy would it need to heat it up by 1 degree? I'll explain how you would do this then. So if it took 400 joules to heat up by 5 degrees, we want to know how did it get there? Well, remember I gave it so it was at 10 degrees, and it went all the way to 15 degrees. So I gave it a little bit of energy, and then it was at 11. Gave it a little bit more energy, it got to 12. A little bit more energy, it got to 13, 14, 15, right? So in other words, the total amount of energy was 400. So I need to divide 400 by 5 because it increased. I gave it 5 lots of energy. 5 lots of energy, or 5 times the heat capacity, would be equal to 400. So the heat capacity would be equal to, would be equal to 400 joules divided by 5 degrees C, which would be, see if you can work that out. Yeah, good. Now, what about the unit? Can you see if you can work out what the unit is based on what we've got written in front of us? What we do in these cases is we look at these units here, and we would just simply go joule divided by or per degrees C. So the unit would be joules per Celsius, joules per degree. Okay, so it takes, so in my example there, it will take 80 joules. That's supposed to be a J. 80 joules for every 1 degree C. So that's what the heat capacity is. Okay. Let's just shrink that a little bit. Oh, I think my mouse might be running out of batteries. Yeah, it is. Keeps glitching out. I will have to charge it up again soon, or give it to me batteries. Okay. So that's heat capacity, okay? Not specific heat capacity, it's heat capacity. It's the amount of energy required to heat something up by 1 degrees C, okay? So